FBI scandal, and tough questions for Clarence Thomas about his view of abortion rights.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Reporting tonight from Phoenix with Jane Pauley in New York.
Good evening from Phoenix. Tonight, NBC Nightly News will have a Southwestern flavor, but we want to begin in Washington, a town that runs on power and thrives on scandal, and today it had a double dose. The scandal involves Clark Clifford, one of the Capitol's most influential and highly regarded figures. He went before the House Banking Committee to defend his role with BCCI, the international bank that was a giant con game. NBC's chief financial correspondent Mike Jensen was at the hearing. Mike?
Tom, this is the day everybody in Washington was waiting for, the ultimate Washington insider testifying about his role in one of the all-time financial scandals.
Clark Clifford, Mr. Democrat, advisor to presidents for half a century, the man to know. His sidekick, Robert Altman, married to TV's Wonder Woman, Linda Carter. The two men ran First American Bank, Washington's largest, secretly owned by BCCI, which investigators call the Bank of Crooks and Criminals. Last month, Clifford and Altman resigned under pressure. Today, Clifford was in the hot seat.
I must ask the question, were our witnesses amiable dunces, or were they sophisticated financial kingpins?
Mr. Clark Clifford, I don't believe that you are an amiable dunce.
I am thoroughly disgusted with the high and mighty, with the privileged.
Then it was Clifford's turn.
I've been a practicing lawyer for 63 years. And in all that time, there has never been a cloud placed against my name until now.
Clifford said when he took BCCI on as a law client, everybody thought it was respectable.
Lehman Brothers, Kuhn Loeb, Prudential Bache, and Merrill Lynch.
Clifford was asked by Arab investors to run First American.
I didn't want to retire. I didn't want to just sit on the porch and rock and wait to die.
Instead, he got richer.
The gross profit for Mr. Clifford apparently totaled at least $11.3 million, and for Mr. Altman, $5.6 million.
As for BCCI secretly owning First American, Clifford said he was deceived.
I would have given anything if I could have avoided what I've gone through this past year.
Did Clifford change any minds?
My heart wants to believe him, but my head says no.
And off they went. Clark Clifford, Robert Altman, and Wonder Woman.
So nothing was resolved. Clark Clifford spoke his piece, the congressman spoke theirs, mostly critical, and the investigations into the link between First American and BCCI continue. Tom?
Thank you, Michael. Also in the Capitol, in a Senate hearing room, the subject was the power of the U.S. Supreme Court. Nominee Clarence Thomas was answering questions about women's rights, including the right to abortion. NBC's Andrea Mitchell tonight on day 2 of these confirmation hearings before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Andrea?
Tom, Clarence Thomas suggested today that women may need more legal protection against discrimination, but said he has no opinion on whether they have a right to an abortion.
Thomas appeared more at ease when he arrived and seemed to gain confidence throughout the day, even when pressed hard about abortion. Senator Metzenbaum asked him the same question 12 times.
I'm not asking you to prejudge the case. I'm just asking you whether you believe that the Constitution protects a woman's right to choose to terminate her pregnancy.
I think that to take a position would undermine my ability to be impartial.
Metzenbaum said if the court forbids legal abortions, women would again be forced into back alleys.
On a personal level, certainly, I am very, very pained by that. I think any of us would be. I wouldn't want to see people subjected to torture of that nature.
Other senators tried to pin him down. Had he ever discussed Roe versus Wade, the landmark case legalizing abortion? He mentioned it twice in articles. Doesn't he have an opinion on it?
Do I have this day an opinion, a personal opinion, on the outcome in Roe versus Wade? And my answer to you is that I do not.
Well, with all due respect, Judge, I have some difficulty with your answer.
Women's groups opposing Thomas stood vigil in the hallway.
He has stonewalled every question, refusing to answer on the question of whether there is a constitutional right to choose.
Thomas was also challenged by Senator Specter, a Republican, for his past opposition to court-ordered affirmative action. Today, he said the courts might need to give women more protection against discrimination. Heflin of Alabama accused him of moderating his views to get confirmed.
There has entered into my mind an appearance of confirmation conversion.
Thomas said he has been consistent. His refusal to discuss abortion rights follows the practice of previous nominees. The senators can be annoyed, but there's not much they can do about it. Tom?
Thank you, Andrea. While the black community is divided on many of Clarence Thomas's views, there is a common pride in his achievements and in his black heritage. But what about a place in the national power centers for the fast-growing Hispanic American population? Here in the Southwest, as NBC's Roger O'Neill reports tonight, that is a troubling question.
A beer company proclaimed the 1980s the decade of the Hispanic.
It was a merchandising ploy, and it worked for the merchandisers, but for us it didn't. Our expectations in education, housing, and employment were not met.
And in the 1990s, it has not gotten any better, perhaps even worse.
I think probably the biggest tragedy in the Hispanic community nationwide, and in this state and in this city, is the fact that Hispanic children are still dropping out of school in record numbers.
Among the major minority groups, Hispanics are the least educated. They are 3 times more likely to drop out of school than either whites or blacks. And until that grim fact changes, all agree Hispanics will continue to be the builders rather than the beneficiaries of the emerging power of the Southwest. Hispanic Americans are the fastest growing ethnic minority in the United States, a sleeping giant, another of the many labels Latino has been saddled with.
We've got to set our own agenda. And if we need institutional change, we ought to go out and fight for it, and we ought to go out and get it. Let's not wait for someone else to set that agenda for us.
But without political clout, on the national level, any agenda will be hard to achieve, and there is a big void. 3 of its rising stars have all left the political scene. Denver Mayor Federico Pena to private life. A personal scandal for San Antonio Mayor Henry Cisneros to the sidelines, and former New Mexico Governor Tony Anaya has dropped out. There are no Hispanic governors or U.S. senators. There are only 13 congressmen, although there are 2 Hispanic members of the Bush cabinet. With a third of its population Hispanic, Ed Pastor is trying to become Arizona's first Latino congressman. And at the University of Arizona, President Manuel Pacheco has just become the nation's highest-ranking Hispanic educator. Both men will try to further one agenda all Hispanics agree on, to break down that wall which has kept the Hispanic from achieving the American dream. Roger O'Neill, NBC News.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, Jane Pauley in New York will have the latest on the hostage crisis. Is there a deal now in the works? And tonight's Daily Difference, vital signs. Robert Bazell on the perils of this southwest sun. Skin cancer is a major problem. That's when Nightly News continues.
Where do you want to be in 20 years? Well, my father worked for the same company for 39 years. He got 2 weeks vacation, but we never traveled far. He was saving to put 3 kids through college. At 65, he retired. At 67, he died. How can I invest so that after my kids graduate, I can enjoy the second half of my life? You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
Hi, what'd you bring back?
Diarrhea.
Of course. You forgot your kaopectate.
Advanced formula kaopectate. Just 1 dose helps relieve diarrhea fast.
Next time, I won't forget the kaopectate.
Guaranteed to stop diarrhea fast.
When you get gas pain, you've got a choice. Your antacid or Gas X, the tablet made for gas pain. It's extra strength, 100% simethicone to get rid of gas faster than your antacid. Fight gas right with Gas X.
1 month ago today, American hostage Edward Tracy was released in Lebanon. Since then, optimism about more releases dimmed. Until today, Israel released Arab prisoners, and Shiite Muslim kidnappers in Lebanon said the action raised hopes of a happy ending for Western hostages. NBC's Tom Aspel has details.
By ordering the release of 51 Arab prisoners, Israel has confirmed that negotiations to free all of the Middle East hostages are continuing, and that the pace is stepping up. Israel also returned the bodies of 9 Muslim guerrillas killed in clashes along its northern border over the last few years. an unexpected gesture to highlight its demand for clear information about its own servicemen missing in Lebanon. Yuri Librani, Israel's chief negotiator on the hostage issue, said today's prisoner release was a message.
We hope that this will be the first of a series of stages, at the end of which the question of the hostages, of the prisoners of war, of the missing in action will come to completion.
The sudden move by the Israelis was prompted by confirmation that one of their missing soldiers, Rahamim el-Sheikh, was dead. His family was in mourning today after receiving the news. It came from the Iranians and was passed on by UN Secretary General Javier Perez de Cuellar. He was in Tehran today, meeting with Iran's President Hashemi Rafsanjani as part of his quest to have the Middle East hostage issue solved once and for all.
Beginning.
Yona and Miriam Bomel are hoping for just that. They are the parents of one of the 6 Israeli soldiers still missing in Lebanon. The step-by-step process, which they hope will get him home safely, is proving difficult for them to bear.
It's too late in the game for the salami system where you take a slice and another slice and another slice. It's time to clear the decks.
A Shiite leader said in Lebanon tonight he thinks the Israeli move could prompt the release of more Western hostages. But when pressed for a time frame, he said it could be next week, next month, or even longer. Tom Aswell, NBC News, Damascus.
President Bush reacted angrily today to reports that Israel might be questioning his commitment to help provide aid to that country. Israel wants $10 billion in loan guarantees to help settle Soviet Jews. The Bush administration wants a Middle East peace conference first. For his part, Secretary of State James Baker was in Moscow today, his first visit there since the dramatic changes in the Soviet Union. NBC's John Dancy is with him.
Baker wanted to look the leaders of the new Soviet Union in the eye and find out for himself what's going on and who's in charge. There was Boris Pankin, until a few weeks ago ambassador to Czechoslovakia, now foreign minister. Baker had never laid eyes on him before today. Mikhail Gorbachev, was he so wounded by the coup that he was no longer effective? And Boris Yeltsin, the president of the Russian Republic. Is he now the real leader of the country? Everyone brought some sign of good faith. Pankin told Baker not to worry, Soviet nuclear weapons are safely under control. Yeltsin offered to speed up the process of returning the Kuril Islands in the Pacific to Japan, a holdover issue from World War II. And Gorbachev offered the prize, a pullout of Soviet troops in Cuba.
We will soon begin discussion with the Cuban leadership about the withdrawal of a Soviet training brigade that was stationed in Cuba some time ago and that is still there.
Baker used a Moscow speech to tell the Soviets what the U.S. expects now.
The courage that you showed in August must be continued and consolidated now in enduring political and economic freedom.
Grigory Yavlinsky, perhaps the country's leading reform economist, said economic reform is underway and necessary. He said under the present system, inflation is 2 to 3% a week. As for the central question of Baker's visit, who's in charge, Baker said Yeltsin and Gorbachev both are.
Challenges that are facing the Soviet Union, it is important, of course, that the leadership of the Republic and the Union cooperate closely together.
A senior State Department official tonight stopped short of calling it a co-presidency. But he said Gorbachev and Yeltsin, each for his own reason, seem to want to cooperate right now. And as long as it's productive, he said, the U.S. will work with both men. John Dancy, NBC News, Moscow.
In this country, stocks closed slightly higher today. Trading on Wall Street was moderate.
Now, let me get this straight. This cereal is just flakes, right? Now that sounds exciting. No, I'm not kidding. I can hardly wait to dig into all this simplicity. Now, hang on. These are good. I was just caught off guard because they look so simple, but these are tasty, light. I like them. Really, I'm not kidding.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes? You're kidding.
Taste them again for the first time.
Does it take a major expedition to get something in your refrigerator? Would you say that finding things isn't exactly a piece of cake? You should explore Frigidaire Elite. Refrigerators so intelligently designed, they practically hand you what you're looking for. And are the most energy efficient we've ever built. After all, it's not just a fridge. It's a Frigidaire.
Did you know that the most valuable patent ever issued went to a small business owner, Alexander Graham Bell? Since then, AT&T has stayed on the cutting edge of communications. For example, AT&T just invented a new 800 service for small businesses. It uses your existing line and costs only $6 a month. At AT&T, almost half our business comes from small business. When you succeed, we succeed. Call about our 800 offer.
Tonight's Daily Difference, vital signs. There is a dark side to all of these sunny skies here in Arizona. This state has the highest incidence of skin cancer in the country. The desert environment and the relatively clean air make the sun strong, deadly strong. NBC's chief medical correspondent is Robert Bazell.
Almost everyone in the Southwest knows of the hazard of life under a cloudless sky.
We have over 300 days of sunshine a year here. Some people would say that's not a problem, of course, but it is that relentless day-to-day sun exposure.
Exposure that can lead to skin cancer, like this tumor on Forrest Riddle's forehead, or these lesions on Lucy Webb's hands, and in some cases melanoma, which is often fatal.
There isn't a person in town who doesn't have a friend or a family member who hasn't had skin cancer.
Arizona residents are much more likely to get skin cancer than people living in other states, up to 7 times more likely. Since skin cancer is such a big problem here, scientists and doctors are doing more to prevent it than simply educating people about the dangers.
These lamps have been used in suntan parlors to induce tan in humans.
In her laboratory at the University of Arizona Cancer Center in Tucson, Dr. Helen Gensler uses the ultraviolet light to induce skin cancer in mice. A half hour a day for 3 months, and the mice get tumors. Dr. Gensler has found that a daily application of cream with vitamin E can cut the cancer incidence in half. Doctors are now trying the cream on people.
And you've checked here that you think you're taking the vitamin A rather than the placebo?
Trials are also underway with daily doses of another vitamin, A, to see if that can cut the cancer incidence. Research with an entirely new drug started with the observation that skin cancer risk varies greatly among ethnic groups.
People of Anglo-Saxon origin are at great risk for skin cancer. Those people who have darker skin and who tan well, for example, those of Mediterranean origin, certainly have less skin cancer than others. And blacks have a relatively very low risk of skin cancer.
Arizona scientists synthesized a drug called melanotan, which darkens the skin. A single dose injected in frogs turns them dark permanently in half an hour. Dr. Paula Johnson, a veterinarian, gave daily doses to her dog Raz, and its fur turned from golden to gray to black in a few weeks. Tests of melanotan are underway in humans. Someday, fair-skinned people living in the desert may have their skins darkened artificially as a protection against skin cancer. For now, the best prevention is staying out of the sun, covering up, or using sunscreens. While everyone knows the danger, not everyone responds to it.
I don't take any precautions, and I know I'm wrong, and I know I will probably get skin cancer.
Doctors say that attitude must change as more and more people occupy what was once a vacant desert. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Tucson.
It turns out it is especially important to protect children. Their skin is vulnerable to sun exposure.
A small touch, a certain look. It's the little things that are worth the most. Which is why every Delta faucet gives you more than you'd ever expect for the money. Giving you the money for those things you can't even put a value on. Delta, the way water is brought to life.
Over 20% of the population can have trouble eating this, or even this, because we can't easily digest dairy foods. What we can't have, we always want, which is why there's lactate. Only lactate comes in milk and in caplets to help us digest any dairy foods. And it's natural. So now there's only one thing left to do.
only Lactate gives you so many ways to enjoy dairy foods.
Once again, Buick is raising the banner for quality in America. Introducing the 1992 LeSabre with a higher level of power, safety, security, and convenience. This new LeSabre is going to be one tough act to follow. LeSabre for 1992 from Buick.
You know, there's nothing square about prunes. These Sunsweet pitted prunes are not only irresistibly sweet and bursting with flavor, they're also perfectly round. Only one prune tastes Sunsweet.
I thought all no-stick cooking sprays were just like Pam. Boy, was I wrong.
Only Pam is all natural with no preservatives. Only Pam.
And Pam adds virtually no fat or calories. For healthier meals.
All natural Pam, a healthier way to cook.
Time now for a quick check of today's other news. 14 people were killed today when a Continental Express commuter plane exploded and crashed in southeast Texas. The plane was flying from Laredo to Houston. Mike Tyson was booked on charges that he raped a Miss Black America contestant. The former heavyweight champ pleaded not guilty and was released on $30,000 bond. Trial was set for January. And tennis star Martina Navratilova was back in court today trying to reach a financial settlement with her former lover. Judy Nelson wants half the $5 to $9 million Navratilova earned during their relationship. There are new charges tonight that America's school children are being taught to eat the wrong things, foods that could pose risks to their health. Here's NBC's Robert Hager.
School kids are eating alarmingly high levels of fat and cholesterol.
This is the Swiss mushroom burger, the special of the day.
And they're getting a lot of it from the federally subsidized school lunch program. All this according to a study released today by the consumer nutrition group Public Voice for Food and Health Policy. Too many fatty hamburgers or hot dogs, too much high-fat cheese instead of new low-fat varieties, too much whole milk instead of skim, potatoes which the government pre-injects with cooking oil, and for dessert, too much high-fat ice cream. Much of this food is supplied to schools by the U.S. Agriculture Department, which the group charge is beholden to beef and dairy farmers. The consumer group's Ellen Haas.
For decades, there has been a blatant disregard for nutrition programs in this country, whether it is inadequate funding, increased education, or policy priorities.
The group Public Voice said the Agriculture Department could fix all this by requiring local schools to cut fat and cholesterol as a condition for continued participation in the federal lunch program. Later, Agriculture Secretary Edward Madigan surprised critics by saying he partially agreed and hoped for improvement in school lunches shortly.
By fiscal year 1994, this concern of Public Voice will be behind us.
Most agree students would be better served by including more fruits, more vegetables, more fiber as in apples, and more skim milk. One reason for concern, new and growing evidence that too much fat and cholesterol is just as big a health problem for kids as for adults. Robert Hager, NBC News, Washington.
Now let's go back to Tom Brokaw in Phoenix. Tom?
Thank you, Jane. The lifeblood of Phoenix and much of the Southwest, for that matter, is the mighty Colorado River. Diverting it, of course, has made the desert bloom with cities and farms. But now, with too many people and too little water, the battle over the Colorado is really heating up. NBC's George Lewis tonight.
The power of the Colorado River is impressive. Over the last 6 million years, its waters have carved the Grand Canyon. Yeah! Woo! People marvel at its might. We have tamed the Colorado through a system of 10 major dams, diverted its water to make farms and cities bloom in the desert. Places like Las Vegas and Phoenix are dotted with subdivisions sporting aquatic-sounding names. We pretend that the supply of Colorado River water is never ending. And we scarcely notice that at its southern end, the river simply runs dry.
The Colorado used to flow all the way to the Gulf of California in Mexico. But now, after it crosses the border, it is a river in name only. All the water has been spoken for farther upstream.
80% of the water goes for irrigation in places like California's Imperial Valley.
California has been using more than its allotment of water, buying surplus shares from places like Arizona. But that era is ending. The control room for the Central Arizona Project, which will begin serving Tucson next month and will be up to full capacity in a few years.
Arizona then will be using all of its share of the water, and it will not be available for California.
People continue to use the river as a playground, even as environmental groups put the Colorado on their endangered lists. Former Arizona Governor Bruce Babbitt says the West has to stop taking the water for granted.
We're going to have to end this notion that every city ought to look like a Brazilian rainforest, that you can grow acres of grass and mulberry trees. And this is not northern Minnesota.
Give the desert its due, he says. Develop a conservation ethic. This November, the governors of the 7 states served by the Colorado will hold a summit conference as they grapple with the looming water crisis. At Lake Havasu, the old London Bridge straddles the river. While London Bridge may not be falling down, the level of the water continues to drop every day. George Lewis, NBC News, on the Colorado River.
I'll be back from Phoenix in a moment.
Because some aches and pains don't go away when the lights go out, we've created new Tylenol PM, specially formulated with extra-strength Tylenol pain reliever for those aches and pains that can keep you up at night, plus a gentle ingredient to help you sleep, so you can wake up refreshed in the morning. From the name you trust comes new Tylenol PM, so you can rest easy.
In the 80s, the Ford Taurus and Mercury Sable changed the shape of cars in America. And now, as a part of Ford Motor Company's multi-billion-dollar investment in the 90s, the 92 Taurus and Sable have been reshaped, refined, and re-engineered so that Ford quality comes shining through like never before, and just when everyone else thought they'd caught up. See for yourself September 26th at your Ford and Lincoln Mercury dealer. Amazing things happen when you make quality job one.
This neighborhood produces most of our Olympic team stars. It's where you'll find the Emerson Flag Company. They send thousands of flags to the Olympic Games, and for rush orders, they use express mail from the Postal Service. It offers convenient pickup service, guaranteed overnight delivery, plus great low prices, which could help a small company like this have a banner year.
We deliver for you.
Coming, Dow Bathroom Cleaner with scrubbing bubbles. It's 50% stronger than original Dow Bathroom Cleaner. We work even harder, so you don't have to.
Extra Strength Malox Plus, the strongest antacid there is, now comes in extra strength tablets. Stronger than Tums, stronger than Rolaids. New Extra Strength Malox Plus, now in tablets.
My doctor told me it's the strongest. My stomach tells me it's fast.
That's Nightly News for this Wednesday from Phoenix. I'm Tom Brokaw on behalf of Jane Pauley. I'll see you tomorrow night once again from New York.
Friday, real-life heroes battling the most ferocious fire on Earth. Arthur Kent puts you on the front line of the blazing Kuwaiti oil fields where these brave men risk their lives to save the air we breathe on Real Life with Jane Pauley. Then, international spies are tapping into your private business. Spy secrets revealed on Expose right after Real Life, Friday.
Vanessa Williams, her fight for success, and Robert Guillaume, his new primetime series, a sneak peek at Pacific Station, with Katie Couric and Brian Gumble, Thursday on Today.
Buy Oregon First and Landmark of Quality are working together. Please join them in supporting these local businesses.